Okay, class, it's time to come to attention. I'm going to take attendance now. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm in the wrong venue. Okie dokie. I want to thank you all for turning out. I appreciate it. It's a beautiful day, and I was afraid nobody's going to come see us. But I'll be darned, here we are. I don't know if you know how this all began. So I thought, for those of you who didn't read the Times Post, that I would give you the opportunity, via me, to find out how this happened. Because sometimes I'm not really sure. I was sitting at a museum board meeting, and this is in the article, some months ago, and I happened to be facing the wall where the athletes were. And I'm not saying that I didn't pay attention to the meeting, but I'm saying I was distracted. It was all those pictures of those old men in those little tiny basketball shorts. And I thought, where are the women? Where are the girls? We were minus something. So I brought up the idea that we needed to have a new display there. And then I got to thinking about it, too much probably, and I got to thinking about, wait a minute, we have state champions. We have 4 state champions. There they are. And I thought, yes, they're state champions, but how did that come about? How did that evolve? How did they get there? I know, I couldn't get there. But anyway, so I started thinking about the 70s and when it really came about. In 1972, when Birch Bayh and Title IX came into being, and how that evolved and how it grew. And I thought we have to go back to that time to find out how we got to this time. And that led to the panel. So, if you read, I have enough of these Game On things back here for you. I hope you get one. Oh, hi. I'm glad you guys made it. I thought you were sick. Oh, I'm back in class again. Yeah. So, I had an interview. I thought it was going to be one of those quick little, I'll give you a few details, and this is going to be, and I'm going to go have coffee. But instead, it was a 2-hour interview with a Times Post man. And then he asked me a lot of questions and so forth. And he asked me about if you read this later on, don't distract yourself now. Read this later on. You'll find that there are sort of little, I started to say obituaries, that's the wrong word. Woo! Woo! I'm thinking my age only. Whoa! Anyway, little vignettes. And I asked each one of these folks to send in what they had done. And I reminded them that I was a retired English teacher, sometimes, that I was emptied the red pen later, early on. I wasn't going to correct anything. So if there are mistakes, you made a mistake. But I noticed that the gentleman who was interviewing me took all these down. And then he said, and what about yours? I said, oh, I didn't play sports. Oh, no. But I said, you know, my students have frequently asked me, what sports did you play in high school? And I most of the time said, well, let me see. I chased the saber-toothed tigers, and I threw rocks at the dinosaurs. And I'm not sure most of them didn't believe it. But then I got down to the reality, and I said when I graduated in 1960, I was in charge, this is as close as I got to athletics, I was in charge of the concession stand. Yes, at the old, I don't know if anybody remembers the old gymnasium over here. The concession stand was underneath the bleachers. I never saw one blasted ball game. I was throwing out that popcorn and that Coke and so forth, and I only knew when we did well when the dust came down from the bleachers above me. So I said, that was my high school experience. He said, well, what about college? I said, okay, college. Yeah. Well, college. Well, let's see. I had to take 6 hours of PE for my degree in British literature. Haven't figured that one out, but so I signed up for the classes. I took 2 hours of horsemanship. Horses and I got along, except when that one little Arab tossed me. But anyway, I took archery. I did pretty well in archery. I got an A in archery, even though I almost shot the instructor with my 7th arrow when I only thought I had 6. And then I made it through the basic one, and then I made it through the other badminton. It wasn't too bad. I think, I haven't counted because I don't do math. I think that was 5. Had to take a 6th one. Okay, so I signed up for bowling. Never touched a bowling ball. Went over there, I figured that's going to be a good A because I learned the rules. I stayed behind the line, and I thought about writing a sonnet, Shakespearean, to the gutter ball, with which I was very familiar. Got the grades. Got the grade. My daughter, Miss Gray, would you tell them what my GPA was at that time?
She never got anything less than an A, except in bowling. I
got a B in bowling.
The only one in her whole career.
I don't like bowling. I know we have an adjunct group that bowls with the high school, but I don't like bowling. Okay, so I get out of high school, out of college. That's where I was, wasn't it? I get into teaching, 1970. Been there since I poured the concrete, I think. Maybe I got some of it up here. Anyway, I thought, I'm going to participate in something. So they organized a faculty, I don't know, what is it, the hockey that you play in the gymnasium and to push the puck around and things like that, you know?
Cosm hockey.
Hockey.
Floor hockey.
Floor hockey. See, I didn't even know the name. I thought I could do that. Now, I have a little bit of a problem. I have a lot of problems. One of them is, that I'm clumsy. Clumsy. I figured I could handle this. It's not out. I could do this. I have another little problem. I tend to be a little aggressive. Now, you put aggressiveness with clumsiness, and the first thing you know, you banged a lot of people's shins with that, whatever. I was ejected from the game. Wiped out. You think you had problems? I had problems. So the only thing I could do was sit on the sidelines and support all these other people. And I'm so happy to do that. And I'm so happy that you're here to hear all the accomplishments that these people have had. Okay? Now, where do we go from here? You'll notice there is no agenda. I think I'm done. So I'm going to turn it over. I sent these folks questions, ideas, things they could think about. I want us to have a good time, have a conversation, hear their stories. We'll take your questions and your comments and your stories also. So this is an open forum. So, anybody who wants to start this off, you're on. I'm off. And I'll probably drop this and fall over my stool back here.
We're not. You're going to go?
Well, I thought since I'm the oldest here. Yes, I just had a few things other than this morning I was thinking about this program, and I remember our phys ed teacher, Janine Collier Givens, and she had GAA also, and she told us that her goal was to teach us each of the different sports, how to score baseball, how to appreciate the games and know the rules, so that we could watch the sports with a little bit of knowledge. And I thought that word watch it was just what we did. We didn't know any different. It never entered our mind that we could also be playing these sports. So that's how far we have come. I have a friend back there. Candy, do you want to tell them about Ball State?
Well, I was a PE major at Ball State.
We can't see you.
Title IX.
There you are.
She was in Title
When
IX.
Title IX came in '72, And PE majors had to be in an extramural sport. That's what they called it for girls back then. It wasn't, you were part of a team, you were on an extramural team. And then you had points for intramural and spatial interest. Well, you had to have one of those extra things as a major. You had to have that. And, what are you going to do? So track was the only thing that, I threw the shot put and the javelin, which I'd never handled before ever in my life, and discus. But Title IX came along, and we didn't have uniforms. We were supposed to go to track meets. Fortunately, that year, several of them got rained out. They didn't make up anything. So we went to this big meet at Kent State, and here we are in our Ball State bookstore shirts that we bought and just crummy old gray sweats. They didn't have pretty, we had to wear these old white tunics with skirts and it was awful. But anyway, we get there and here Michigan State are in these nice warm-up things that matched and had, Michigan State and they're pretty green and IU was there and they're red and here we were in our junky gray sweatshirts that we bought at the bookstore. But, it just goes a long way. There wasn't any money. Our coach was a volunteer coach, even at Ball State. But it has come a long way. And I'm thankful for everything that Title IX did. But it wasn't just about sports. Title IX also included equal education for women, which helped in the medical field and in other fields, because when we were in school, if you wanted a professional job, you were either a secretary, a nurse, or a teacher. You didn't know that you could go out and sell equipment and make more money than you could teaching, or, so that Title IX thing was just a good thing for women in general.
Next up, anybody?
I think one of the most successful programs.
Mike.
Oh, is there a mic?
Yes.
Has been volleyball, and I would like for my volleyball coach to tell how she got started. Don't yell at me. She can do that really well.
I'll see you after class.
All right, thank you.
I have a good friend, and some of you will know the name, Joanne Boyer. And one day, Joanne invited me to have lunch with her. I thought, oh, that's so nice, okay. But there was an ulterior motive. She said, Mary, I need some help. She said, I'm trying to deal with all these girls' sports. It's GAA then. And she said, I just can't do it anymore. She said, I need for you to do something. Take one on for me. She said, how about gymnastics? And I go, no, I don't think so. I fell off the unevens in college and broke my tailbone. I don't think I want to do gymnastics. And so, anyway, we kind of went down the list, and she said, well, what would you like to do? And I said, well, okay, let's try volleyball. I just kind of picked it out of the air. And so anyway, she said, fine. So she took me into the gym one afternoon, and she said, now this is going to be your first team. And there were about, 8 or 10 girls, and I was trying to ask, where's...
One of them's right there.
Oh, Cheryl. There you go. Cheryl is back. She was the captain of my first team in 1972. Okay? You can tell with all the white hair. No. I had to do that. I'm sorry. But anyway, we started out that way, no uniforms. You talked about uniforms. We didn't have uniforms. We wore white T-shirts and some shorts. And we only played 5 matches. What do they play now? 30-some matches, I think, now. More than that, maybe. But anyway, we played 5 matches, and it was the most fun. The girls learned, as long as I did with my book, and remember, we sat down, and I had my book in my lap, and I said, okay, girls, this is going to be a challenge. But we did. We had fun, and after the first year, it just kind of grew a little bit, and I just feel so blessed to have been able to be a part of the beginning. I really do. Even though I didn't know what I was getting into at the time, I had wonderful kids, wonderful girls. I had the support of the community, parents, the parents, whatever Coach said. Well, that's different today, isn't it? Whatever Coach said was was law, somebody said. It was just fabulous. And so these young ladies up here, you're a result of getting to do all the things that some of these young ladies started out with. We had to actually kick glass ceilings. And I'll tell one little story. This is kind of early on. We had moved to the big high school. And the problem was boys started basketball practice early in the fall, kind of, to get ready for the winter sport. Okay? And, of course, volleyball is running in the fall. And so I said, well, can we switch off the practice times? Because they always got the practice time after school. And then the girls had to come back at 5 for the 5 o'clock slot. And that didn't set well with me, but anyway. So after a couple of weeks, and they didn't get out of the gym, and I would go, and all of you been in the gymnasium, they've got the little glass window that you can see out of, and I'd go up to that window, tap on it, and go like this. It's our turn. And they just ignored me. Just kept right on dribbling and shooting. So one day, there is a limit to my patience. I said, okay, girls. Okay, girls. Let's go get the volleyball standards, the big poles that you put in the floor to support the nets. You're all familiar with that. I said, let's go get those poles up. And I pulled the door open, and we walked in. And they walk with those poles across the middle of the gym floor. Now, it's interesting watching boys try to dribble basketballs around volleyball poles, It was quite a sight. I wish I had pictures of it. But anyway, they finally did get the message that at 5, or at the latest, 5:10, we were to get the floor, It was time. It was our time. So that's just one of the funny stories I could tell more. I could tell them some.
You raised your voice a little there. I recall it. It's our time.
Tell what happened that first year.
We did win sectional.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, we won sectional. That was extremely fun. So for all the girls.
1972.
1972.
Yeah. 72. So anyway, I just feel blessed to have been a part of the program, and that I'm still here, and that these young ladies have the opportunity to profit from all of the hard work that the young girls did. And I'm proud to be an Arabian, and one of the things I always stressed to the girls, and some of them sitting here will know, I wanted them to always act like a lady. You're a lady first, and then you can be an athlete, okay? And I still stress that today. They are to be a lady first, and then you can play sports, okay?
I'm not going to. Oh, Cheryl, what do you have to say?
I have a little spin on that original story.
Mary Ruth just went, oh, no.
I'm going to spin when I do this. Joanne was coach for every team we had. And she was tired, and we wanted to do volleyball. And we begged to do volleyball. She said, I just can't. So she had Mary Ruth. I remember the time she came to the gym and watched the girls' basketball team play. And I'm a hippie. I've always been a hippie. But I had my headband on, and she was watching us play. They were up there talking. She was trying to talk her into it. She said, looked out there and she said, who the hell is that hippie?
That's verbatim.
Give me 20.
We sent her to her elementary to help her with gymnastics. But we got to know each other. And when that talk about doing the volleyball coaching thing, there were 3 of us, Brenda Cooksey, Jan Mock, and myself, who went to her house and talked her into being the volleyball coach. So that's my spin. That's the origination story that I remember.
would like to know about, I'm helping Mom here, about if there wasn't a team for you, what did you do, Miss Annie?
Well, with some encouragement from my friends, I went to the swim coach, who only coached the boys because there was no girls' swim team, and I said something about going out for the girls' swim team. Well, Mr. Thompson always had a way of, no expression.
He's sitting there right now with
I know, with no expression. And he says, well, practice is at 3:30. And that's all he said. And so I found out later that he actually went to the boys' swim team and talked to them, sat them down and talked to them and said that, I was going to be on the swim team, and did anybody have a problem with it? And nobody did. So I swam on the boys' swim team my senior year. And it was a lot of fun. It was hard work. He was a tough coach. He told me what I needed to do to get my varsity letter. And I worked hard. And I did earn a varsity letter for boys swimming. So it was, yeah.
I would like to ask the young lady sitting next to me, who I just met today, but I've read a lot about how her experience in a male-dominated sport kind of, parallels with that, just for my own interest.
Introduce yourself, Maddie, so everybody knows you.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and I'm a girl wrestler, if you didn't know.
Three-time state champ.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely in the beginning, I was in like the novice and like younger, because I started in 4th grade, and there wasn't a lot of girls around like my age or like in Pendleton who even thought girls wrestling was a thing. And I just remember like first starting, and I would just be wrestling these guys, and it was like you would expect like just like me to be like scared, and like they were like stronger than me, like they had more confidence. I was not. I was actually like so excited to be there. I just remember first time seeing wrestling, and I was just like on the edge of my seat, and it was like just so like cool to watch it. And my dad like jokingly said like, "Do you want to do it?" Like as a joke, and I was like, "Yeah, I do." I was so serious, and he got me into it, and I started with Creeps Club. If you guys don't know Katie Kriebel, she used to coach the high school, and it was just like fun experience. I never really had any boy wrestlers like intentionally try to hurt me that were on my team. I did have some that were like that, and it was sad to see, but I just overcame it, and I still wrestled my heart out. Like I never let it bother me. I never let it like scare me. I was just like, well, I'm still your opponent. Like, that's not going to change. So.
Good. Dan, will you introduce the lineage here? Oh, yeah. Because it's kind of cool.
Yes, it was kind of cool. It is kind of cool. And once you live in a community and you don't ever move, and then you have future generations. So this is my daughter-in-law, Deanne.
Yep, I'm Deanne Edge Fox, and this is my daughter, Aubrey Fox. So as you all can see, 3 of us sitting here, and we have not moved out of our community. We bleed green and white, and I was a 11-letter winner back in high school. Played volleyball, golf, basketball, and softball, and went on after college or after high school to college and played basketball and softball. And for high school, I was an all-state softball player. Recruited both in basketball and softball, and went on in college and played. And then after college, became a mom and a coach. I came back and returned after college to coach 10 years of softball, assistant softball coach for the varsity team, who I think that's our Yeah, I'm just looking back there as one of our trophies. I was part of 4 teams in the 2010 era there for going to state, and we were state runners up one of the 4 times that we went. So got to be involved not only as a high school student, but then also coming back as a coach. I also coached several years in basketball as well. So currently now I am a teacher, and I coach a national softball team which my daughter plays on. But I think for the purpose of why we're here is how far that women's athletics and sports has advanced. But for our community and our school, I mean, we have the trailblazers right here. Mary Ruth Farthing, I remember. Now I did not play under her as a coach, but as an athletic director. But how some of these ladies that are here now have paved the way for some of our state champions, pushing for girls to be heard, and through sports and athletics. I really didn't have a bad experience with Title IX because of that. I mean, we fought a little bit back and forth with practice times. I think that's kind of a given, like every year with coaches in high school athletics. But, there was a few little things we had to take to the admin and athletic directors and stuff when I was there for the 4 years. I graduated in 95. So, again, pretty much a lot of things were set in place, and just thankful for the path that they've paved, that we just had to argue about practice times or warm-ups. Hey, the boys got warm-ups this year. Can we get some warm-ups? And usually it was taken care of. But, we still, even though I think and I believe, women's sports has catapulted tremendously throughout the years. I mean, as a softball coach right now, and for several years, 25 years coaching softball, college girls softball, which just started this weekend, is the number 1 watched college sport right now, and on TV, and also going to their events in their stadiums. But you probably wouldn't think of that 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that college women's softball would be your number 1 sport to be watched on TV. So yes, my daughter, she's still in high school, junior. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Aubrey. So as you can tell, I grew up in a sports dominated household. And ever since I could walk, it was always kind of not pushed on me, but I always kind of fell into always playing, basketball, softball. I got into soccer at one point, but immediately knew that was not for me. But I always just fell in love with softball, and I first started playing on the Dogs and Suds, little neon yellow socks, the shorts, here at the Pendleton complex. And my mom was always my coach for forever, ever since I can remember. And I also played, the YMCA basketball. And so I started, T-ball, worked my way up to the 8U, and then 10U, 12U. And I was always, traveling everywhere, all the states, across the country to play the sport that I love. And it's so great to see, here that all these girl sports are so, pushed and promoted and, supported. So here at PHSS, I've played my freshman year, sophomore year, and now my junior year. I will play softball here at the school. And it's just so great to see how this has all evolved from, in the 70s when this was, kind of sprouted. So, I'm just so blessed to be able to play this sport with so many amazing teammates and people that I've met along the way. So, yeah.
It seems like we're kind of walking down. Is this on? Walking down. So I graduated in 1978. So after Annie and before Julie and Amber. And I honestly didn't know you couldn't do things. I really do, because, Cheryl, you folks had all the sports. So I played volleyball, basketball, ran track, and played tennis, and just thought everybody had that opportunity. And it wasn't until reflection I realized we didn't. My story, I think, where I first thought it is a little different than what I expected, was the Red Haven Award. Back in the day, in 1978, it was one athlete. They just took the Madison County Athlete of the Year. And I remember going as the nominee from Pendleton Heights. Now I think they do a female and a male, but back then I went as the nominee from Pendleton Heights for that award. And I remember sitting at the banquet, and of course my mom and dad were both there, and they would announce the other, and once you had one left, you knew that was going to be the one that was the winner. And they kept going, and Mr. Buck now tells me you have to tell the story of one of your friends. And they kept going, and all of a sudden it was down to one, and that was me. And there was an audible, and I recall hearing it, someone went, "My God, it's the girl." They really said it. I didn't know it was any big thing at that point in time, but I think we would be remiss not only recognizing the trailblazers here, but also recognizing the men that were supportive of us. Coach Thompson, and back at that time, someone in the administration at Pendleton Heights was bold enough to nominate the girl for the award, and all along. There have been the dads that have coached and support us, and they played a big part in all this. I've watched you coach the young ladies last night. Congratulations on a good season for the basketball. And I watched it last night, and they were live streaming Pendleton Heights and Center Grove, and I happen to live in the Center Grove area, so I was keen to it. And when it was over, I happened to flip on the regular TV, and on TV, on prime time, on Saturday night on ABC was a sold-out basketball game between South Carolina and Louisiana State women, with a female coach that makes $3.5 million a year, and the other coach that makes $4.5 million. That's a long, long way from having to do your own uniforms in 1970, and I appreciate those people who did that.
Did you have a story? Was he tell a
Yeah,
story?
Yeah, he can tell the story.
I don't know Lynn. I just met her today. What's funny is the fact that I had a coworker of mine that graduated the same year and was nominated for the Red Haven Award, and he is still sore about that.
And one of the things we are going to do at the conclusion of today is he and I are going to go back there and hold that Red Haven Award, and I'm going to text him a picture.
I want to add one little thing to that. This is a mother's prerogative. We were sitting there. No, not God, just your mother. We were sitting there, my husband and I happened to hear, as her name was announced, I happened to hear a male at the other table say, "Oh my God, I was beaten by a girl." And his father said to him, kudos to the father, "No, you were beaten by a better athlete." And I thought the acknowledgement there was important.
Yeah, I think to echo a lot of the things that Lynn was saying, growing up here in the 2000s, I had no idea that, 30 years earlier and before, like, people didn't have the opportunities that I had. And just thinking about people in the community that encouraged me to do track, and Coach Hinton and Coach Hagerman, who were there just to coach the girls' teams. And Rod Hagerman coming up to me and encouraging me to do pole vault. Like, if he would have not done that, I might, not be sitting here today or ever, tried the sport. And thinking about uniforms, we had, I don't know if this is still a tradition, but if you made it to the state meet, you got like a black Pendleton Heights uniform. And I made it to the state meet, and there was never a question that wasn't something that I had earned and could wear, when I was competing for Pendleton Heights. So, just very thankful for the people that came before to, pave that way for us. And, also, Mrs. Gray had asked us to think about the kind of athletes or role models in your life, and a lot of them are female athletes. So, like, a lot of the Olympic gymnasts in, like, the 80s and the 90s, those were some of my role models. Mia Hamm was, like, just such a cool, she made, like, girls in sports very cool. And even walking down the Pendleton Heights hallway where you saw, all of the, was it maybe like sectional winners and record holders? And I remember, I've never met her, but Melba Cole, she was just, like 100, 200 long jump, Melba Cole. And just, a very cool, I think, legacy to come into and be supported by that have gotten us to, places that we've been. So.
You knew I was going to share this. I can't imagine, but there she was, and this is how she went to Stanford. What a fantastic story.
Yeah. I can't imagine wearing that and going up 13, 14 feet in the air.
I can't anymore either.
But something that Ellie said that just, and as people have been talking to, I graduated in 1987, and Mrs. Farthing, she has given me permission to call her Mrs. Farthing. I've been calling her that for so long now, but was such a great role model. I mean, from the time I was in elementary school for me, but I was thinking too just about all the other people in our community who've supported women's sports and all the teachers and how much time they devoted. I mean, I know because I coached volleyball for several years how much time, when you're working full time and then you're going and putting in the time, I mean, pretty much voluntarily, let's be honest, to coach women's sports, high school sports. Just a lot of commitment to make people better. I mean, to make women strong and let them know that it's okay to be competitive and to have those leadership skills, and I mean, teach them lessons that they take throughout the rest of their life. And I mean, it's not just the coaches and the teachers, but everybody that supports and helps, raise money to build facilities and everything like that. It's just a big community effort, and I always felt like Pendleton was such a great town to live in because of that, just in general.
I kind of want to follow up. Oh, go ahead. Are you sure?
We have our secret weapon is Mrs. Farthing. Coach Farthing was the secret weapon of this school, so don't be fooled by her. So I came from Catholic school in second grade, and she was the PE teacher, a.k.a. really the stealth stalker of future athletes. And she said, well, young lady, where'd you come from? And I said, oh, the Catholic school. She said, what'd you do in PE? And I went, pin the tail on the donkey? I don't know. She said, well, your feet are so big. And I was like, okay. I didn't know about shoe size. No one told us that. So about fourth grade, she said, little girl, you think you want to come to volleyball practice? I'm like, I don't know. And I remember going home and saying, this lady at school, she's a PE teacher, and she wants me to go to volleyball practice. And my parents were like, what? So, back then, it wasn't normal. Like there's no social media, there's nothing. And it started with her recruiting from the elementary, from the PE, the teachers at our school, the PE teachers, Mr. Hinton, Mr. Rhodes, the people who were in school literally were stalking us children and saying, I wonder if they could play sports. So from that, my career started with Annie, because all the collies swim, whether you wanted to or not. And I was the sixth collie, and so Annie was my teacher, and we go 4 years old into the pool, and off you go swim. Didn't know that what she taught me would make for such a strong body to prepare me for the coach next to her to then take me to the next sport. So the foundation building, and the one thing I noticed, because I graduated in 1984, and I didn't have the experience of the 1970s, the coaches protected us from understanding that we had a discrimination issue. I didn't know. No one told us. We were really allowed to be student athletes without the burden of the battle. And that is a gift they gave us. We didn't know it was going on. We knew the boys got to practice first. We were okay with it. Then we got to watch them when they left we made good of it, And we knew that we didn't have everything we needed. But Mary Ruth and Coach Rhodes and Coach Wallace, they didn't make a deal of it, so we didn't know to be upset about it. So a lot of the things we were really protected in that way. And Coach Rhodes, who I think will go down as another one of the most incredible coaches for females, these people had no material to teach us with. Like, you have these kids with great athletic ability, but the coaches don't know how to coach you. They don't know the sport. Mary Ruth would send us to camps, and she'd say, come back with everything you have. And we'd go to her backyard, and we'd teach her best we could. And then she would take it and go and build on it. So, literally, we were all building together at the time. Coach Rhodes trying to teach discus. I heard someone mention discus back there, and I'm like, and he was trying to learn it while he was trying to teach it. The coaches don't have to do that today. I mean, literally, we're doing it at the same time. I have to tell a story about Coach Wallace. He was a basketball coach. He decided he was the progressive basketball coach. He wanted to talk to us ladies about our lady stuff. Not inappropriately, but he decided he was going to be the coach that was like, hey, I know you ladies have different things going on, and, just trust me and tell me. And we're all like, no, we're not talking to you about that stuff. And so anyway, he ended up, the next season he was out for some health issues, so we got Coach Stout. And Bill Stout had never coached females. And we were all in love with Coach Stout. We thought he was amazing looking. And so we decided we should tell him all about our female problems because that would freak him out. So Coach Stout only coached 1 year because he couldn't hold even a huddle at all because he wanted us all to leave and never talk to him again. And I just think today some of the athletes aren't protected from the outside world like we were. I think when I see the progression, we were all true teammates. We really didn't want to be that individual, and we are still friends and close today. And when I see the good thing with NIL money, which I'm super excited about, but then I also see that kind of pushes us to be individuals, and I worry about that a little bit. And so as I'm watching my son-in-law, Nick Rogers, coach the girls, who knows why he's coaching? I'm not sure why he picked it. He hasn't told me that, so I'm going to ask him to tell us here in a minute. And he's building this mentor program. And his wife, my daughter Leanne, decided they were going to mentor and do this little sister program. So the high school kids have a young player that they mentor, and when they come to the game, they get their pictures taken with them. They get to have special time with them, and all the things. The high school girls are going to the little girls' off-season games. And I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't have even known if I'd had someone like Olivia Jones show up at my game when I'm in fourth grade, what I would have done. And I think last night at the game at the regional, all the little girls were sitting right behind the team. There was probably 10 kids. And they knew their place was there. And they cheered harder. They cried when they lost. And when the girls' basketball won the sectional, Coach Rogers had told them, you play for our LABC team, you play for us. If we cut nets, you cut nets. And last year when they did it and this year when they did it, the whole group, like little birds chirping, they wanted their piece of net. And then the elementary teacher said, the kids all brought their nets to school. They're so proud of themselves. And I can't imagine living that real time, you know, because we really didn't have those kinds of things. And I'd say the other thing as a player, we wanted to please our coaches. When I see today, one of the things that I'm not impressed with is sometimes the battle of the student against the coach. I let down Coach Rhodes my senior year, and that's why there's not a 5th state champion here. Because my Munciana coach convinced me to play one more game before my state track meet. And I was severely injured and lost 2 state champions because of it. And I wasn't upset for me. I was upset because Coach Rhodes deserved that award. And I think these coaches and the parent coaches that have done what they've done and chose girls when it wasn't cool, they have changed a lot of lives and a lot of history. And before I'm gonna make Nick say something here, which he's not gonna be happy about. This is how I feel about Pendleton Heights athletics from the 1970s on to today, watching these incredible athletes today in 2026. All of us, including you ladies today that are playing, you're part of this. We didn't just play sports. We built the foundation that today's athletes are standing on. Every one of us is a brick in that foundation. And one day you guys will be just another brick that built the foundation for someone who is much more skilled than you are. But Coach, I want you to tell us a little bit about this mentor program, why you and Leanne decided to do it, if I can put you on the spot a little bit. And why did you decide to coach girls? Because you were under Joe Buck's program and coached the boys.
I think, first of all, I had many of you up here as teachers. They're up here on this panel. And I think the first thing I want to say is I, being a dumb, naive high school kid, had no sense of the greatness that I was around. So just the humbleness that I know now, to know kind of, the things that you had done, that's kind of what pushed me to want to become a good coach. I obviously was a player for Joe Buck. I was blessed. I was the all-time leading scorer, rebounder for Pendleton Heights on the boys' side until Kellen Denham and all of his three-pointers came through. Kind of blew that out of the water. But again, I was blessed to have a certain experience with basketball, and it changed who I was. And I was blessed to be able to play in college. My career was kind of shortened with injuries, but I knew from my experiences being a player in Pendleton Heights, that I wanted to coach. That started out on the boys' side, and then once I started my family, first time in the OB office, you go in, you're super excited to find out. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a boy. And I'll never forget the ultrasound tech was like, I hope you like tea parties. I was like, what? And Leanne was like, oh, we're having a girl. And I was like, what? So, again, super shocked because I just figured I'd be playing with G.I. Joes and, boy stuff. But again, I look back, and what a blessing it was because it made me the person that I am now. And I knew from the moment that I found out that we were having not one but 2 girls, I knew my time coaching boys was done. So my whole thing from there, kind of like what Aubrey said, my girls have always grown up in a household around athletics, watching football, basketball, things like that. And I had a vision, dream with Leanne that we wanted to provide, the best experience we felt like for girls. And I was blessed enough to get an opportunity to lead this girls basketball program. And, this mentorship thing, it's still continuing to grow, but giving high school girls an opportunity to give back. And I will tell you from when we first started 4 years ago to not really having, much hype around the program or many little sisters in the hallway to now when our varsity girls come out of our locker room that is literally about 1.5 miles away across the high school. So we're still dealing with some inequalities to this day. But to see that those hallways lined with little girls that are just chomping at the bit to, get a high five or be a part of just part of the process, a little Coach Richmond saying. But, that's why we did it. And again, that's why I chose, girls athletics. I wanted to, we use the term leave a legacy a lot in our program, and that's what we're trying to do. So, again, I want to give my gratitude to, past and current athletes. I appreciate the humbleness, but it's okay to share your successes with the world, and don't be ashamed to do that.
Nick, it's kind of cool to see little boys with Caitlin Clark jerseys on, isn't it?
I forgot I want to add one thing. So our junior year, Mary Ruth was our AD, and somehow got Highland to agree to let the girls' varsity play before the boys' varsity, first time in the history of the school. And we were pumped. And we were like, what? We're going to play in front of the boys. Then we're like, what? Wait a minute. Now we're scared because, we have like 10 people watching us play. So we go, and on a side note, my dad was dying in the hospital. And we were going to be on WEEM, and we'd never been on WEEM before. And I ran up to St. John's and turned it on and said, Dad, this is a radio station. They're going to play our game. And he's like, okay. And so the kids and all of us were going to play for my dad. We're going to play for him. And we go to the game, and there's so many people, and we're scared out of our minds. We played triple overtime. And I will tell you, the Highland fans were like, this is a game. I mean, everyone's screaming. It was Hoosier basketball at its finest. And it was so amazing. Well, we beat Highland. So got a phone call to the athletic director. They didn't want to play us again next year. And they didn't want to play our team at our house next year. But to be a part of something like that was so big. One, first time WEEM covered us, and first time the girls played in front of the boys. We still suffer a little bit as a girls basketball team that we still have to play our games during the week. And if we're going to play on Saturday, it has to be during the day. And for some reason, our girls don't play good on that. But Mary Ruth was behind all those things, pushing it. And she also had a bunch of secret weapons with Charlie Mock, our superintendent, and Principal Lauren Skinner. We had a lot of people, and she was convincing. And so a lot of things that happened in women's athletics across all the sports, including the cheerleaders who were considered cheerleaders and who are now, we know, the most incredible athletes. Mary Ruth was behind pushing all the buttons. So.
To follow up on a lot of the comments that have been made so far, I do want to give the community of Pendleton its flowers too. My name's Alex. I graduated in 2016. And I immediately moved. I immediately left and have been able to live all over the country. But Pendleton has always been so special, and I have always felt it, even taking off and living Southwest, upstate New York, Southeast. Like, the community here loves its student athletes. I was also involuntarily recruited to participate in cross country and track. Melissa Hackerman tracked me down based on elementary school PE performance. She was playing the long game. She was looking for high school. This woman would not let me rest in the cafeteria until I joined that middle school team. And throughout my entire career participating in cross country and track, I felt such a powerful level of support from this community. The individuals that I didn't know had been tracking my progress from my freshman year up through my senior year. Were tracking what I was doing in college, and that's not common, right? I've been fortunate to get very close with a lot of athletes, not only from across the nation, but international athletes, and that level of hometown support is not found everywhere. And so I do want to say thank you to Pendleton for so fiercely supporting all of our athletes, especially our women's athletes. That has been very, very special to me, and I'm sure everybody on this panel feels that way as well. So thank you. Pendleton's always going to have a very, very, very special place in my heart, thanks to that support.
Have you had any recent accomplishments that we really should know about?
There's some big rings on your finger. Talk about those.
They are. I never get to wear these, so I figured I would wear them for today. The large one is my NCAA Division I National Championship for cross country. Thank you. I was on a team with a lot of extremely talented individuals, multiple of which have represented Team USA at the World Championships, in the Olympics, teammates that have represented Great Britain, Japan, Canada, several American record holders. The joke I always like to say now is I was the slowest one out of that group, and I became a strength and conditioning coach. So that is what I do full time now. But as far as my own personal hobbies, I've transitioned to more long distance, and I'm doing some road racing. And so that's what I've been up to. Took a crack at the half marathon for the first time a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun enjoying that next chapter of longer distances, chasing after that.
While we're running, Miss Gerald. That's the only transition I can say right now.
Yeah, I guess I'll start yesterday. I actually had a race, so I'm at IU now. I graduated last year. So I'm a freshman at IU. I competed for the cross-country team in the fall, and then now we're on indoor track, and I just got back from Tennessee last night, kind of late. Yeah, we've had a few indoor meets so far. It's going pretty well. I've been able to get some PRs for indoor, which is really good because my senior year didn't necessarily go how I wanted it to, just there was some issues there. But I've got it sorted out, and so now I'm back to where I was at my junior year when I was having my better year, which is encouraging. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see kind of how outdoor plays out and where I can go to help my team. And then I guess in high school, I was the state champion for track in the 3200 my junior year. Yeah, that was a little unexpected, just my freshman year. I was just kind of average, I would say, nothing too special. And yeah, through cross country and track, I had some injuries that I was dealing with, so nothing too special there. But then my sophomore year, I was able to improve a little bit. But my junior year was really where I started to really move up, and I think it was in cross country. I just had one race where I don't know what happened, just a switch flipped, and I PR'd by almost a minute, and that's kind of where I started to just continue on with being up in the ranks. And my junior year, I got injured towards the end of the year too, so I've had a little bit of problems with that. But then in track, my coach, Coach Bayer, he just really helped me build up my confidence and my fitness to be able to just throughout that whole season just improve. And I know there's the Carmel Distance Showcase where there's it was almost like a little like state meet in itself, and I didn't really run the 32 that much going into that race, but I just wanted to see where I could end up placing, because there was like the former state champion from the year before was there, and the cross country state champion was in the race. So I just wanted to see where I kind of like held my own in that, and I was able to. It was a crazy race. I like led pretty much like the whole thing, but I knew the girl that was the state champion the year before. She was in my conference, so I raced her a lot. I knew her strategy. So she was going to try to pass me with like one lap left and take it from there, but that was like a crazy race. We were literally, it was like a drag race. That whole last lap, like I remember my track coach was like, at a certain point, there was 100 meters left. She was like right next to me, and everyone thought she was going to blow by me and take it, but I don't know if people saw this or not, but we kind of like bumped into each other a little bit, got a little bit physical. I'm not the biggest person. She was taller than me, and I like really quickly I was like, yeah, I can't stay over here in this. She's gonna, I wasn't gonna work out. So I got a little adrenaline going, and then I was able to take that race, and I think that was kind of like the breakout race for that year. So it really gave me the confidence just knowing like I can hold my own against the top girls in Indiana. And just from there, I just kept improving. And then when it came to state, like I had never placed at a state meet at that point. And so my goal was to at least podium. My coach was telling me like, there's no reason you shouldn't be up there. Like you've been up there with him before. And so, like it was kind of crazy. He actually like told me how the race was going to go, and that's exactly how it went. And so, it was a pack of 3 of us. And so it was kind of, we alternated leading every lap almost. But then I think halfway through, like one of the girls, she ended up gapping me and the other girl. I just started kind of getting in my head a little bit. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. But I remembered, like, my coach told me, like, there's no reason you should be up there. Like, and so the girl next to me started to kind of go ahead, and I was like, okay, I just can't do that. And so I surged a little bit, and this was with probably like a half mile to go. I kind of started kicking a little bit, not like too much, but I ended up catching the girl in first, and then that was like 600 meters out, and I knew I have to go because, this other girl is really good, so I kind of started kicking with 600 meters to go, which was really hard. But, and I was able to end up winning the race, and it was just, like, I couldn't, like, it was so crazy to think, like, I actually did that. And just my teammates that were there and my coaches, and, like, there was some people just in the community that were there, too, to, like, support me. And it was just such an amazing feeling, just seeing how much support was behind me and, like, all the work that I had done, like, just fighting through injuries and everything else, just it ended up working out. And, and then my senior year wasn't as well, but I still, like, persevered, and that was a big thing that my coach talked about in track. He had the pride pillars, and it was just basically stuff to help you, like, mentally, just to know, like, you can have all the fitness, but if your head isn't right, like, you're not going to do well. And so he really helped us with that. And so I just persevered through that year and was able to get to IU and get everything figured out. And now we're hopefully on the right track. So, yeah.
I sent a number of questions or things about which you might speak or think or whatever. Is there anything that made any sense at all that you would like to address? For instance, what did somebody say to you that really spurred you on? Or
I have a funny story about my former volleyball coach. So I don't know. I guess I just have always been kind of I think I'm really funny. I don't know what that, is my sense of humor. And I always had a lot of respect for Mrs. Farthing. She was my volleyball coach, but I loved her, and I probably caused her so many headaches. But anyway, one day, I can't remember. I don't remember what we had done during the day, but I thought it'd be a really good idea. Don't get me on this, former sheriff. I borrowed a street sign with the lights, the flashing lights on it, and put it in the back of my car. And I talked to my teammates, and I said, it'd be really funny if we took this and put it at the bottom of Mrs. Farthing's driveway, and she won't know that we did it or whatever. So we go over there, and we're, probably so loud. I'm sure everyone in the neighborhood knew that we were out there. So we put the thing in her driveway, and this was before cell phones. So when I walked in my front door, my mom was like, Amber, Mrs. Farthing's on the phone for you. And I was like, oh, no. Anyway, I went over and immediately removed it and took it back to where it belonged. So that was my story. Okay, just a fun story.
Thank you, Amber.
Anybody else have comments you'd like to make? Well, since we're logging,
Yeah.
Oh, well, where are we going?
Yeah. Yeah. Let him ask.
Mr. Pinnock.
Well, mine, obviously, I didn't have her for volleyball coach. But I did have her for early on when I was in Pendleton
Elementary
school. There was a lady come in one day, and all of a sudden, she was our gym teacher. It's like, what? We've never had a woman teach us the gym. This was different. But by probably the second time we had her, she had us in she made sure we were wherever we were supposed to be. And acting like we should. And along with that, I was able to watch people like Lynn there become good people and very athletic, and you didn't want to mess with them.
Thank you.
I wonder if any of these current athletes would speak or say something, make a comment.
Our rugby team has shown up.
Okay.
Right, some of you?
I can tell she's going to be the one right there. There you go.
I would like to know what got you interested in rugby.
Yes.
Well, when I was in 8th grade, I'd been playing like basketball and softball my whole life, but I'd kind of just given up on it because I didn't feel like I was like at the level that I needed to be. But I saw on Facebook there was a try-on day for girls rugby, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know we had girls rugby. You know, I know the guys was so like at a high level. But I went. I was in 8th grade. It was for high school girls mostly. I was the only middle school girl. I didn't know anyone there. But I went, and I fell in love with it. And then I kept coming. And, it took a while to get it, like, kick-started, but it's grown into such a beautiful thing. Even this year, like, along the years, we haven't had that many girls, but this year we've had, like, 30-some come to practice, and they're mostly younger girls. And I was like, oh, well, that's so cool to see, because I was one of those girls. You know, it's a lot of middle school girls that haven't, maybe don't know anyone here, but they're wanting to try a new sport. And so, yeah, I think that's cool to see. And I think it's really cool to see how we've been supported by the whole community, even by the guys' team, Coach Trout. Emily Pulley, our coach now, got it started for everyone. Her dad, Nate. It's just without them, we wouldn't be anywhere. And we have, girls playing in college now at D1 programs at Purdue, IU, Wheeling, Grand Canyon. Emily played at Newberry. And so, yeah, it's been a really cool thing. There's a lot of cool culture with it. A lot of cool there's an emphasis on family. and it's just been really great. And I'm really excited. I'm a junior now, so I'm really excited to see where I can go with it. Maybe play in college, and I'm excited to see where these girls will go. And yeah, it's just a really fun sport, really cool culture, and yeah, I think.
To your point, I read statistics yesterday that the 2028 Summer Olympics will have more female athletes than
Yeah.
for the first time in history.
Yeah.
300 more females.
I mean, especially with rugby, I mean, seeing the Olympics, they play in the Summer Olympics. I was watching it in 2024, I think is when it was, and they won the bronze medal for the first time, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And, like, rugby is becoming more mainstream, especially women's rugby with, like, Alona Marr and all these athletes speaking up and giving a platform for young girls to, like, find their voice and, yeah, like, grow into doing what they love and not being ashamed of it. And I think that's a really cool thing to see.
Good.
Yeah.
Somebody had a comment here. Alex did.
Yeah, we had been sent like a list of questions to kind of ponder, and one of the questions was what like piece of advice or anything that somebody had said to you that really stuck with you as an athlete. I spent a while thinking about that question, but what really stuck out to me had been a very old interview that I had watched with a professional distance runner, very accomplished, very skilled, and she really provided this visual for training, as in every day when we are showing up to practice, showing up to train, think of it as you are setting the foundation of a house one brick at a time. That day is one brick. No one session, no one workout, no one competition is going to build that house overnight, right? And I can speak at least for the distance runners up here. Sometimes we tend to think of certain training sessions and certain competitions as really defining us, right? But in reality, it's just that one brick, right? And once you go into it with that mindset, you then become also infinitely more coachable, right? Now your coach is able to deliver that exact training objective for that day, and that's all you have to do. You do your job. No more, no less. Lay that brick, move on to the next day, lay the next brick. And then over the course of years and years, now you have this incredible foundation to really do something extremely special with, right? And then the coach in me now talking, like, very much would encourage, like, the young athletes, like, take care of the boring, basic stuff when you're young, right? I know I mentioned I'm a strength and conditioning coach now, and I absolutely love what I do. And at times I look back on the athlete mindset that I had when I was a lot younger of just you don't know what you don't know. Right? So please get in the weight room when you're young. Work on those basic foundations. The stronger you are, the more athletic you are, is going to benefit you regardless of what sport you choose to really specialize in, if that's something you really want to do. Right? And once you have that foundation of that house built, that's when really awesome, really magical things start to happen. So just one brick at a time. Be patient. Trust the process.
I'd like to mention, if I could, somebody spoke about gymnastics briefly earlier, but at some point Pendleton did get a gymnastics program, and I wanted to mention Pat Miller and Carol Crandall, who
Oh,
were
yes.
so instrumental
Yeah.
in teaching the girls the foundations, the bricks for gymnastics for practicing.
The gymnastics program was stopped being at the high school in 1987 for a number of reasons, but it is still in place in the sense that we have people who participate and compete. There are 3 schools that, and we don't have any home meets, but they do meet other places. So we are still competitive in gymnastics. So that opportunity is still there. Yeah, I can remember when, in fact, we have a former gymnastics coach here. Yes, she doesn't want to admit it, but she's back there. And you could tell stories about having to bring that heavy equipment down and set up all that equipment and so on and so forth, and how difficult that was. So we've come that way. By the way, I was just looking at, I got the statistics Friday. from the high school, there are now 10 sports that are male sports eligible at Pendleton Heights. It's baseball, basketball, cross country, football, golf, soccer, swimming and diving, tennis, track and field, and wrestling. There are 11 female sports, 10 men and 11 females. We have basketball, cross country, and I hear flag football may be in the works, but it's not yet. We have golf, we have gymnastics, we have soccer, softball, swimming and diving, tennis, track and field, and volleyball and wrestling. We also have a eligible unified track and field, and I think that should be acknowledged also. So we are moving on with more opportunities. Somebody else want to?
There's a hand up.
Hand back there. Yes.
My name's Kevin Marsh, and my daughter Maddie. She's probably going to be upset for me talking. You know, when I first heard the older ladies talking about how hard it was getting in.
Please define older. Okay.
You better watch out. She's an attorney.
Maddie getting asked that question about how she felt getting into a male dominant sport. When she first got into it, she asked me, and I said no. I didn't want her to. I wrestled. And we didn't have any girls wrestlers on our team. There was one on another team, and it was constantly that girl shouldn't be there. That girl shouldn't be there. I wanted to protect her because of the mental status of it. Once she got into it, and I seen how many girls was in it, I was for it. But there was a lot of times, I remember one incident down at Beach Grove. Some of our friends from another state was sitting next to the father of the son getting ready to wrestle Maddie. And the dad said, "Don't you dare get beat by this girl." Maddie goes out there and pins him with it. The father grabbed the boy, choked him out in the hallway, and started ripping him. And I went out and I said, "Listen, and he looked at me and said, "I don't care. That's a girl." What parents didn't understand was at a young age before puberty, a female athlete actually was stronger, a little well built, definitely smarter than him. And we struggled a lot. When we would go to academies, Maddie would be put in the back of the room. But I'm so proud of her because she never let this bother her. Mm-hmm. She can't speak because she doesn't want to be negative to them boys. And she actually taught me to be a little more calmer because I would be that one that would get loud. Her 8th grade year at conference, we call them the good old boy system, actually got me kicked out of conference because they didn't want a 2-time conference champion in HHC. And they ended up switching some rules around that ended up getting her beat her 8th grade year, but she was still a 3-time state finalist, or a 3-time conference finalist. But it still goes on with the females not being accepted. She had when she won her first state title for Pendleton. A couple of the boys said, "Well, you won it in the girls' division." Yeah, she's a girl. And no, she wouldn't have won it in the boys' division because she was 135 pounds and she was going to wrestle me. Okay? But I want to say thank you to a coach that is here that kept us at Pendleton. We was on the lead Pendleton. But we want to thank Coach Hackman, who is her cross-country coach, not a wrestling coach. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to give you guys hopefully a 4-time state champion.
Yeah, yeah.
So next year, she's going for a 4th state title. And it has been great to see everybody embrace it. I mean, I don't know how many people in here got woke up at midnight on a Friday night with the fire department and the police wearing through town. You blame my daughter.
You know, it's interesting he shared that story because my friend Joby is here. And we were talking earlier that giving platforms to both, because her son had to wrestle when girls didn't have the opportunity. And it puts him in an awkward, unwinnable position. If he wins, he's supposed to. If he doesn't, he got beat by a girl. And so I think we've come so far to recognize that each of us, I mean, there's enough support for both genders excelling because athletics is what's important. That the kids have the opportunity. We don't have to be us versus them or anything. There's enough for all of us because it is something that does benefit you for the rest of your life. I'd be interested, I know most of you, the qualities that you learn in a team, in athletics, in training, in discipline, in teamwork, rule following will follow you until you're older, however one defines it. And so the more people that participate, regardless of in what sport, regardless of what gender, the better we all are, I think. And that's the recognition at Title IX. We all should have that same platform available.
I'm curious from Aubrey and even some of these the athletes that are current today, Maddie and them. We did not grow up in the social media era. And so we could really make a lot of mistakes and a lot of people really didn't hear about it or know about it. And we didn't have the online bullies and the immediate critics and stuff like that. So I'd like to hear from Aubrey and Maddie how it is to be an athlete in the instant social media world, good or bad.
Yeah.
Should be able to talk loud enough for an athlete.
Okay. So there's not much negative impact through social media, just through the high school athletes, but I definitely seen the college and the more professional, even with the now AUSL, the softball national professional league, they're kind of getting some more controversy, I would say, more online. But through the high school athletes, it's been a lot of positive stuff. And with me in softball, it's also a recruiting platform through social media, especially the new X and Instagram and stuff like that. So it's very more positive through especially my sport, but I mean through more professionalism, it can get a little iffy, but yeah, that's what I would say.
I would definitely agree. There has been a ton of positivity in the high school with upcoming girls wanting to do sports or those girls who are already in sports. I do definitely agree with all of that. Having a brain fart here. I feel like it's just a different world with me, because I was in an all-male sport. I was a part of the first high school sanctioned state that they had last year, and it was just an amazing experience to finally see I should say recognizing my sport that I do and I love. And I've heard nothing but positivity from my teachers, from my other coaches, from my fellow classmates. That's amazing that you're being recognized, and it's so cool that you can be a 3-time state champ and not letting people who don't agree with it or think that girls shouldn't be in male dominant sports. It's just amazing to see all that.
I'd like to say and touch on a few things that have been shared. And I know with Alex saying, trust the process and some of the other words that I hear, and it just makes you raise your eyebrows because with women in sports now, seeing the emergence of male-dominant sports with rugby and wrestling and women with weightlifting, trying to think flag football, you said, that's really popular in the South right now. It's making its way up here. But so many more opportunities now are coming about with even newer sports being, supported now in the high school and even college level. But trusting the process and, the brick by brick, what she was talking about, it was set before us, right? And a lot of people miss on seeing the big picture. Everybody wants something now. We're now, give it to me now, driven society. And with Title IX in sports, and really any level competing, you have to enjoy the little moments, right? And the many little moments that happened and we overcame with these sitting up here before us, and Mrs. Farthing, Mrs. Gray, and even the male teachers and coaches back then when Title IX was being pushed. Those little moments created this, this push, right? The emerging sports being accepted. And when you compete, and I think Maddie touched on it a little bit, like as a girl, you're not supposed to compete. You're not supposed to be strong. And being supported by not only communities, families, teachers that led this and paved the way, it's not a result. It's not us being driven to, I want this, I want to get this is the result. It's all the times that led to that is where you should get your greatest fulfillment in this, Title IX and any kind of thing, whether you're going for a state championship or anything you're trying to do in women's sports. You've got to think back to who started it and who built it, and you have a job to carry it on. And so, and I love some of the stuff that Alex has said because you can tell she's a coach, right? You can tell she's a teacher, she's driven. And now listen, it could be your family. I don't know you personally. It could be your family. It could be an experience that led this to you. But sports is making the way for our future leaders, right? It's, there's still some more, Mary Ruth said, glass ceilings that she has shattered. There's still some more out there. We haven't shattered them all. And who knows if we will. But right now, women in sports and women in general going out into the world are being some of our, leaders of today. It's just not we're in the houses and staying in the homes anymore. And so through sports and the goals that these girls set and the opportunities given now because of Title IX and supportive communities, parents and coaches and teachers, this is why we have rugby and women's wrestling and, college softball being the number one viewed on TV right now. So it's exciting as an individual looking back, because I've been through it all, playing sports all my life, and see my own daughter go through it now, and what her goals and dreams and wishes are through sports, what it can all give you. And when Mrs. Gray said back in the museum where you saw just all the men's photos, right? So you go down to Pendleton Heights High School, you go over there, now you see a mix of everyone. So, and isn't that what we want as a community, as a world, that everyone has an opportunity? Okay,
that's great. I'm the stats person, right? That's what Mom charged me with. In case there was a law, I actually looked at a study yesterday. 80% of job interviews include a question of participation in formal athletics, and so it does translate beyond that. Anecdotally, I work mostly with men in the legal field. I mean, I can't tell you I've ever done a deal on the golf course, but I sure have met a lot of lawyers on the golf course. And it really does just translate into those experiences in taking those with you or playing in my fantasy football league with the 9 other guys that I play with. You know, that is a commonality that generates most of us as a community that certainly will serve you well in your professional lives, or if you're raising your kids and you're taking them and you're coaching them and those kind of things. It's just invaluable to have that opportunity before you, even if you don't go into coaching or you don't go into professional athletics. Yes. Sally does.
I just want to chime in to that point about leadership. I love the Olympics. I love sports. I was a state finalist in swimming from Pendleton Heights. The International Olympic Committee is run by President Christy Coventry.
All right.
All right.
Thompson.
I'm a nice person anyway.
Okay.
Back when Annie was on the boys' swim team, I had a coach from Noblesville, if you remember Terry.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, she can't swim here. And I had some words for him. And I said, let me call you back. I went and talked to your dad, Jim. He and I were good friends. And I also went and talked to Ernie Miller. Some of you probably remember him as principal. And Ernie said to me, he said, go for it, but I want to tell you who to go talk to. He said, I want you to go talk to Charlie Gauss. He was the attorney for the school corporation. So I made an appointment with him. I saw him that next day, actually. And his comment to me is, we'll sue the bastards. So my phone call to Terry then was, she's going to swim or else. He said, I'll get back with you. He called me about an hour later. He had talked to his principal and said, oh, yes, you better let her swim. But he said, we don't have a dressing room. I said, well, she'll find one. And I think you had to change in the restroom.
Probably.
Yes. It shows you just what an attorney can do.
So I didn't know about that story. I think there are a lot of things that I didn't know about, but I did have to deal with a lot of things, and now I know why Terry Busby never liked me.
Annie, I love this. Letty, I want to thank you for putting this together. These are my heroes right here.
They are, mine too.
And I can't tell you how many times I've walked down that hallway of fame and pointed at them. Have we laughed at some of your hairstyles? I can't tell you just how much I appreciate all of you guys and what you've done for female sports. I also want to thank some guys too. Because if Coach Rhodes wouldn't have said, Hagerman, you're next in line, I wouldn't be standing here as a coach. Coach Hinton, thank you for letting me tag along and be your sidekick. You guys had a huge part of who I am today. I'm blessed because I got to touch a lot of these lives, like through either classrooms. Deanne, you don't know this, but I've been a huge softball fan of yours for a long time. Stories.
Oh no! Who's telling those stories?
I love everything you guys bring, and I love seeing your pictures on the wall, and I love that we can continue this tradition and just, build female sports. I encourage women too to be coaches. It's been the biggest blessing in my life. I see Emily Foley right here. I had her in class. She's coaching the rugby team right now. Just encourage those female coaches too to get out there and coach the ladies. So, thank you.
So Annie and I swam before high school with Anderson Swim Club in Anderson. Mark was one of our coaches. A teammate was Susie Kiley. Do you remember Susie? I reconnected with her a couple years ago. She went to Anderson High School. They had to sue the school corporation to get women's swim or girls swim. And they succeeded because my sectional was at Anderson High School. Yeah.
one of the cool things with girls basketball that I've watched, and Mark and Jane, who are incredible supporters, they bring all the good treats. Now I'm going to mention they have never offered me any, but they do bring, and I'm not sure if Mark makes them or Jane, but I think we probably know. But every game, those girls have homemade treats. They do the sectional room. They took care of the courtesy lounge food and all that. Their supporters, incredible. The girls feel it and they know the support of them. The last game we had 5 or 6 school board members there. We have Mr. Hutton doing stats, Mr. Lord beside him feeding him stats. Thompson's there in the support role. I mean, to see that many school board members at a female event like that is, it just, the support is just organic. And they're not being invited, they're not being asked to. It's organic support of these female athletes and going above and beyond. And I think Coach Rogers would agree with that. So
I'm interested, Ellie, you traveled the world with your sport, and it took you everywhere. What did you get from that you use in your today's life? You've been everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say the world necessarily through sport, but the country. Yeah. Alex maybe can talk after me. But yeah, I got to compete at Stanford in California, was there for 4 years. And when, at that time it was Pac-10, Pac-12, got to, compete around the kind of Western states. And one of the questions that we had was kind of like, have you ever thought about quitting your sport? And I did quit my sport after my senior year of college. And then, stayed in California and was working in Silicon Valley. And have, since then I moved to Austin, Texas, working in like startups and technology. And I think, they're always, I've learned a lot from sport. And I think like definitely, in interviews professionally, like people really care about, if you have an athletic background. And I think people see that, you've intentionally, committed yourself to becoming better or to like contributing to a team in order to succeed and in order to win. And so I think in the professional world, a lot of those traits that you're building as an athlete, like definitely translate to that setting. And so I, haven't picked up a pole and pole vaulted for, 10, 12 years. But where it took me to Stanford and to getting an education or getting a degree from there and being able to, focus on another piece of life outside of sports. It like makes me think of that NCAA commercial of, what do they say? They're focusing or majoring in something other than sports. Like that was definitely my story. But sports definitely propelled me to be able to, compete in those other fields.
We're not getting MRS degrees anymore.
I just want to say one other thing that I think we haven't really talked that much about, but I can't even imagine my life without the friendships that I built through athletics. So it always was a part of my life, but I'm still friends with so many of the people that I've met, whether they were my coaches or former players or people that Jill Gasparovic was here, and we were talking about how much fun we had running high school track. I think about all the friendships and all the lights in my life that came from playing sports. So anyway, that was one of the biggest blessings to me. I guess how to be a good friend. You know, when you're a good teammate, you're a good friend. So anyway, blessings. So.
We're open. Anybody else have anything you'd like to say?
Wow. Can I do a thank you? I was a cheerleader coach, and someone was always on there was tension, always there was tension. But the administration, Mary Ruth was our female athletic director or sports, I'm not sure what your title was. But no matter what issue I had, you have great athletes, you know, that you're working with. You've got great teachers teaching them. But I knew I could come to Mary Ruth with whatever issue I had, and she gave me good advice. Sometimes it made the girl happy, and other times parents weren't very happy. But it's nice to have someone on the administration who will say to you, this is what you probably should do, and it was good advice, and it worked. So I just want to thank the administration. Thank you.
Well, I have to get one more story in. Oh, you're on. Thank you.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm Derek Buck, and the first thing I wanted to say is I didn't know for a while if we were at a female athlete panel or Mrs. Farthing's roast.
Oh, if we're going to do that, I got some
So I just wanted to share a few stories. I appreciated Alex's, building brick by brick. So the two stories I'm going to share with you, you may not know these people, you may. I was in cross-country gymnastics and track. My gymnastics coach was Dale Leckliner.
Yeah.
Dale was a super guy. And he played this motivational recording for us one time. And it kind of went like this. He said, here's motivation. And it was about this young Marine, and he was getting ready to have a pass to go see his girlfriend for the weekend. So it's Friday afternoon. He is excited as all get out. They go to the mess hall, and he and a buddy, they get wrestling around, and that wrestling turns into a fist fight. And he loses his pass for the weekend. So it comes that evening, he's looking out of his barracks, and he sees all of his buddies leaving through the gate, and motivation kicked in. He said, I'm going. And so he grabs his bag, he gets to the gate, the MP stops him, says, halt. You're not going anywhere without a pass. He said, oh, yes, I am. He said, no, you're not going anywhere. He said, oh, yes, I am. He said, listen, my mama's in heaven, my daddy's in hell, my gal's in St. Louis. I'm seeing one of them tonight. So her brick by brick, there's the other story I want to tell comes from John McCord, and I'm sure some of you knew John from the past. And it's very simple, but I'll never forget, after a meet this one time, most everybody had had a bad race. And John said, I'm just going to tell you how it works. He said, there's three kinds of athletes. And he said, it doesn't matter what the sport is. Those who make it happen, those that let it happen, and those that don't know what happened. So, anyway, one thing that Alex has heard me say through the years is success fosters more success. And you guys are just a prime example. And young ladies, as you go forward, take that and just make more strength from that. And thank you so much for the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I talking about Coach Farthing, I want to say a real quick story. I obviously went to Pendleton Heights in the early 2000s. I've been around Huey and the Schnepp family for many years. I've been kind of in and out of their house since the 6th grade. And I'll never forget coming, maybe like my freshman, sophomore year, Coach Farthing was still in the athletic office, and I came home and I was I came over to their house. I was upset about getting kicked out of the gym. I was just trying to shoot. I was the only one in there, and Coach Farthing came in and was like, "Hey, if Coach Buck's not in here, you got to go." And me being a dumb teenager, I was like, "She kicked me out of here." So I was going home, and I was talking about it, and Julie's like, "Oh, that's my volleyball coach." And I'm like, "Well, I don't like her. You don't like me, and I don't like her." So to kind of move down the line as I started coaching the girls basketball team, I've come to know Coach Farthing a whole lot. She's one of our biggest supporters. She's at many of our games, and I want to share something with you that she came up and told me. She obviously has a big background in being an athletic director and things like that. So for her to come up and share with me, I can't remember. I think it was one of our games last year. She's big on females coaching females, and I didn't know that. So she came up and she kind of gave me her stamp of approval and said, "You're a male that I would hire to coach one of my teams." So, Coach, I just want you to know that that meant a lot to me, and let's let bygones be bygones. on the
Do you like her now, Nick?
Yeah, we're good.
Well, what I have to say is, back to Nick,
Yeah.
he is doing exactly the kind of thing with that girls' program that I approve of, that we need. Building that feeder program with his varsity players, or his, players at the high school level with the little ones, and being role models for them. That's the kind of things we need. Doing the right thing.
Yeah. You want to go back and teach elementary school?
No.
And I'm sure Nick would probably agree, and some of us coaches here too, and I see it in him a lot, is that, and I encourage our younger ones here that are still yet to come with some of their accomplishments, that paying it forward, right? And that's what life is about, I think. My personal opinion is you do everything to pay it forward. And, again, going back to the Title IX, why we're all here, I hope that someday, whether you're sitting here and you walk out and you are happy to, hear our stories and maybe are excited now about women's sport, and hey, next time you're at the high school, you walk down that Hall of Fame walls and look up there to all those people that are on the wall, young athletes, and notice and support their accomplishments. But as we take this out into the parking lot or wherever you go, and I know Nick and Mary said the same thing, that he's doing a great job, that people are paying it forward. Alex, you can tell that you're coaching, right, and you're paying it forward. Whether you pay it forward through your kids or yourself by your actions or whatever, just know that, again, going back to Title IX, there was someone before you that gave you that opportunity, right? And there's someone before you that battled for you so you didn't have to, or at least not as much of a battle. I look back and I'm trying to pay it forward through Coach Medler, Coach Wallace, Coach Etherington. I only had him for a short amount of time. Coach Rhodes, Coach Sears, my golf coach. I look back at what I have accomplished through sports and where it has propelled me into life and what I'm doing. And I do it for all them behind me. So in Title IX, where would I be if we didn't have it? I'm not be like, but again, and Amber even said, the friendships you make, and Aubrey, my own daughter, the friendships you make along the way, and the teams, or the states you travel to, or the different cities, or your friends that are even your opponents. That's hard to do, to have friends that you want to beat day in, day out. But, with Aubrey being on a national softball team, we travel all over the place. And the experience, whether it's travel, friendships, new experience, new goals, new accomplishments, all have been because someone behind you. And I always feel like you're never alone in anything you do. You can say you're alone. You can say you're in the corner and the world's against you and blah, blah, blah. But whether you win a state title or you win a sectional title or whatever, when you lift a trophy up or you feel good about yourself with an accomplishment that you've done, it could even be small, you're not alone in getting it. So, whether it be your parents, your coaches, or a friend that's been there to support you or push you or fight for you, right, before you even knew it happened. I'm thankful for Title IX and this program, and Mrs. Gray, and Mrs. Farthing, of course, and all these up here. So.
Well, Deanne, I want to be selfish for just one moment because you're right. My mom can't bowl. my mom can't dribble. She can't swing a golf club. She can't. But you know what? She was at every single game. She didn't watch them because she usually had her hand down like this. Oh my God. But my mom and dad were at every single game. And to have the support, and we see it here now. Maddie, your dad's here. There's no one prouder of you. And it's wonderful. And Mom, you never had the luxury of having Title IX. You never played any sports, but for you to care about what's going on today, thank you. Not for your athletics. Not for your athletics, but just for caring about your community. And I really, really appreciate it as your daughter. I'm proud.
And I only wrote that for her.
Did you have your red
English teacher.
Yes. Cheryl has something.
I do have something to say. If you ever had Coach Farthing recognize this.
Oh.
When that finger came out, you better pay attention. If that digit went up, you knew that you were on. Does have some basketball experience in a truck. If I remember correctly. She had her feet on a basketball, fell out of the truck and broke something.
Yes, she did.
I told you I was clumsy.
But one thing besides this was kind of the epitome of it, that she pounded on us politely. Character. Wasn't reputation. Doesn't matter. Character. She wanted us to be good people, good humans, who worked hard and who did our best every time because we wanted her not to do this.
Sit down.
She was the first one to do the president's physical fitness
Yes.
program in the county, and Andy and I and Steve, we all went to kindergarten together. Were we stayed in pretty good shape. I mean, we stayed lively all of our lives. And I think it's because of her and that program.
Program's a good program.
Thank you for my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I think we're about ready to wrap it up here. I have to, I'm going to roast her too, but I'm not going to tell all the stories. I have been involved in athletics and volleyball since 1970. I don't know when.
I don't know.
We were at
72.
72. We were at Knightstown. There was no one in the crowd, but I think I was there and about 3 others. They needed somebody to do the lines. I said, okay, I don't know what that's all about, but I did. I have not quit since. I'm your longest athlete. One of these days I'll learn the game.
She caught a lot of lines like this.
Safe. I just would like to comment about one last thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe here. I was looking through yearbooks at the museum, which we have numbers of, and some are available. And I opened up this one yearbook, and it said, "The weaker sex is no more." It says, and I'm having to cut this down, "Since it is not the weaker sex, we say it must have a name, and now it is just this other sex in married life or the bitter half." This was from 19 27. You invert that 27 to 72, and Title IX made us not the weaker sex. I appreciate the 5 years. 1927, and we had a long way to go. Thank you, everybody who showed up. Thank you for all of you, everything that you contributed. I appreciate it. And if I screwed up in that handout, I'm sorry. It was midnight sometimes when I was looking at those things. So thank you, and thank you all for being so supportive. Remember to see the display, which will be, I think I get it open in May. We open
First weekend in May.
First weekend in May, if not more sleepless nights. But anyway, we're going to move things down there and come and see the display. And there are so many other girls that we could acknowledge. That I know that Miss Crable, who was in wrestling, there were so many others that it was just so difficult to stay at this number. But I certainly appreciate all of you. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for supporting us. And Joe is going to, from the museum board.
On behalf of the Pendleton Historic Museum, I just want to thank everybody for their time today, especially you ladies. And we just want to also thank the Park Department, because this is a joint effort, for the first time, a joint effort between the museum and the Park Department. And we have done monthly speaker things for years. This is the most successful one we have ever had, and I think we do have 2 more coming up next month. Our county historian, Stephen Jackson. Is anybody familiar with Stephen Jackson? He has so much knowledge about our county right here. He's going to come to this room. He's going to speak about the history of the falls out there. It'll be very interesting. Same time on the 15th of March, 2 to 4. And then in April, on the 19th, Tammy Bowman and Nicholas Pappas are going to speak to us about Pendleton's historic district architecture and ownership of some of these older homes. We have a lot of people that come to the museum on weekends and they say, do you have the history of my house? And this will be very informative, I know, so I'm hoping people come out for that too. And we have a table set up back there from the museum. We appreciate your support. We ask you to come and visit. This stuff, when we open in the spring, we're open from the first weekend in May until the last weekend in October. If you're ever interested on volunteering, helping a board member be a host or hostess, we'd love to have new people come and do that. We need to gain younger people with interest. We know they're out there, they have the interest. We just need to get them indoctrinated into volunteering. So thank you all so much, and thank you.
Come back here, please take one of these and learn about what they have.